Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Today is Monday, November 16th, 2015. Right, I'm making this video just a few hours after the Arizona Cardinals dismantled the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. There's a bet on the board in the NFL that just screams at you this morning that I feel you need to seriously consider taking. Unlike most gamblers, I believe the real money's in the futures market. Right? Not that you're going to pick one future and win the bet. Far from it. But you can actually structure your betting portfolio where you're getting leverage to the point where you can easily hedge the bet and guarantee yourself a profit later on, right? It's by this strategic betting where we're taking positions and then cashing out of positions that I believe yields big profits and big leverage from the casino. So this morning, based on what happened yesterday, it's clear to me that the bet on the board that you need to seriously consider leaping on right now on the futures market are the Pittsburgh Steelers to win it all at 25 to 1. Again, it's November 16th, middle of November. They're offering you the Pittsburgh Steelers at 25 to 1 to win it all. Right, now let's do the math. Right, if I bet $10 right here on the Pittsburgh Steelers, I have a possible winning of $250, right? $250. Understand, down the road, if the Steelers face, let's say, big bad New England in the playoffs, and understand the Steelers are one of those rare teams who conceivably have a chance at beating anyone anywhere, right? If you don't stop the Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown Express, the rest of your team could be superior to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You could literally get derailed just like the Raiders got derailed last week, right? Well, let's go through why the world has lined up for the Steelers. Why this 25 to 1 prop is a gift, right? Understand, if the Steelers later face the Patriots, and I've bet $10 to win possibly $250. Let's say the Patriots, after getting the first week off, play the Steelers in the second round of the playoffs. I could bet $100 on the Patriots. 100, right? Let's say that I bet $100 to win 80 on the Patriots, right? Let's say the line's that severe. Understand, if the Patriots win the game, I'm netting, right? $80 minus the $10 I bet on the Steelers, I'm netting $70 on the overall transaction. Let's say the Patriots lose the game. Understand, I still have leverage on the Steelers. I've only given back 10 points of the 25 points I've gotten on the 25 to 1 prop. Now this weekend, right? And we understand the Steelers are not going to win their division because of the Cincinnati Bengals. The Steelers are angling for a wild card. Let's look at the other teams angling for wild cards in the AFC. The New York Jets, they lost, didn't they? They're 5-4. The Oakland Raiders, they lost, didn't they? They're 4-5. Right? The Buffalo Bills, they won. Fair enough. They're 5-4. Understand, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in my opinion, are a better team than the Buffalo Bills. Just compare and contrast Ben Roethlisberger with Tyrod Taylor, who's vulnerable to getting sacked. Understand, too, that the Steelers have the jump on the Buffalo Bills because the Steelers are 6-4. Right? Oh, and the Steelers, of course, have a bye week coming up where they'll be able to rest. Ben's foot problem, the one that did not prevent him from playing the role of superstar this last Sunday, he'll actually have a week to sit down and rest that injury, right? While other teams are out there getting more rundown, the Pittsburgh Steelers with this late bye will be refining and rejuvenating, right? Kansas City, another team in the hunt for the wild card in the AFC. They're now 4-5, right? There's really no other competition, right? None for the wild card in the AFC. They're giving you the Steelers. Keep in mind, too, because the Steelers have the jump on other teams in terms of record, right? The Steelers would get the preferential seeding on other teams. Let me say this, too. In the AFC, you only have 2 unbeaten teams. The New England Patriots, who nobody wants to face, let's face it, right? And the Cincinnati Bengals. Every other team in the AFC looks beatable, don't they? The Denver Broncos just lost their second consecutive game. Gary Kubiak, the coach, openly lamented starting Peyton Manning in the match. Keep in mind, Peyton was on the verge of setting the NFL record at quarterback, right? And here you have his coach basically saying, I should have sat him down. Peyton's that banged up. How much time does Peyton have to get healthy, right? Isn't Peyton a little bit older as it is? Doesn't Peyton usually fade this time of the year? Well, you know the rest. Peyton Manning went out and threw a bevy of interceptions, right? Denver again had offensive problems. Look at Peyton Manning's stats. They had to pivot to Brock Osweiler, right? Now, let me say this. Here online, I've said I believe Brock Osweiler would give that team a boost. I've been talking about now for weeks here online the fact that I thought the team had to seriously consider replacing Peyton Manning. What you need to know is simply that Denver is beatable. They're not the unbeaten team they were just a few weeks ago. Also, even on defense, track the team. Guys like DeMarcus Ware are battling chronic back problems, right? That age on that defense is going to start to boomerang a little bit, isn't it? So the Pittsburgh Steelers, as a wild card, have a realistic shot, in my opinion, to win that first game, right? Look at the Jets. Brandon Marshall, banged up. Fitzpatrick just underwent thumb surgery. Chris Ivory, not the same back he was in September. He's battling injuries. In my opinion, at 25-1, in getting a quarterback and team, right, the QB, Roethlisberger, has been to the Super Bowl 3 times. Mike Tomlin, his coach, has been to the Super Bowl 2 times. Right? You're getting an experienced postseason team. Right? You're getting them at a huge discount. Understand the way to play futures. The Patriots look dominant to me, but you're only getting 2-1 odds on them. Right? Only 2-1. What you want to do here, in my opinion, since you kind of know sooner or later you're going to have to throw some money at the elite teams, what you want to do is pick a team that is priced as a non-elite team at huge odds, right? 25-1. So again, I bet $10. I get $250 worth of possible winnings. It's an insurance policy. So in the postseason, when this team runs into New England or Cincinnati, I can then bet money on the other side of the play and have both teams in the contest at prices that make economic sense. Right? So, the Pittsburgh Steelers this morning at 25-1, I believe they're a must play. Let's flip the script. NFC. I believe there's a play that you need to make. A lot of the value has already been drained out of this play. And it's the Arizona Cardinals. Right? Now you're getting the Cardinals at huge odds. 7.5 to 1. Now here again, let's just do the math. Nobody wants to face the Arizona Cardinals, as you could imagine, in Arizona in the postseason. Arizona is now 7-2. They've locked up the NFC West. The team they just beat, the Seattle Seahawks, are their big rivals for the divisional crown. Understand, the St. Louis Rams also lost yesterday. In my opinion, neither Seattle nor the Rams is going to catch Arizona for the divisional crown. Now go around the NFC, and you're going to realize that a lot of their competition has fallen off. The Green Bay Packers lost again yesterday. Green Bay is in the middle of a losing streak. Their rushing game is in such disarray that Eddie Lacy was inactive for yesterday's game, and we aren't exactly sure why. Right? We're not. Let me say, I know Carolina is unbeaten. No question about it. Carolina has the jump on Arizona for the top seed in the NFC. Let me just argue, though, that the first week of the playoffs, it's not just the top seed that gets a bye. It's the first two seeds, right? Arizona now has the jump on Green Bay to get one of the top two seeds. Now, I know Purple People Eater Nation, the Minnesota Viking Nation, is going to say, what about us? Didn't we win yesterday? Aren't we also 7-2? Here's where handicappers have to make a hard decision. I don't believe you can value Minnesota as highly as you value Arizona. Minnesota statistically is not as dominant. Minnesota also statistically has a harder schedule going forward. Just look at the teams Minnesota faces. Right? Let me say, too, that if you compare the defenses between the two teams, it's not close. Arizona's defense is an elite defense. Minnesota's defense isn't. Right? So, I believe here, at 7.5 to 1, I believe these are about as juicy as the odds will get on the Arizona Cardinals. You're getting a team that likely gets a bye the first round of the playoffs. Think about it. Right? They'll get a bye the first round of the playoffs, and they'll host their first playoff game. And they're giving you 7.5 to 1 right now. I believe the only reason you're getting 7.5 to 1 is because the public hasn't fully adjusted, hasn't fully priced in the information that Arizona is on its way to the title in the West. Right? I think people are still thinking that maybe Seattle could bounce back. Right? Folks, Seattle's 4-5 right now. Right? Even if you thought Seattle was stronger than Arizona, and keep in mind, Seattle just lost to Arizona in Seattle. Right? In a game in which the defense delivered touchdowns, and they still lost. If you believe Seattle is stronger than Arizona, just understand the gap between Arizona's 7-2 record and Seattle's 4-5 record is likely too pronounced for Seattle to make up in the last 7 games of the season. Even the head-to-head at this point doesn't favor the Seattle Seahawks. So to sum up, the two plays I like today, November 16th, and keep in mind, these plays, we're just taking the value at the moment. Every week, some play is going to jump out. Some play is going to be mispriced. The mispricings I see this morning are the Pittsburgh Steelers at 25 to 1. And keep in mind, that's with a 6-4 record. And Ben Roethlisberger back in the fold, back in the saddle, right? We're not relying on Michael Vick anymore at quarterback. We're not relying on Landry Jones anymore at quarterback. And they're still giving you greater than 20 to 1 odds on the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? On a futures. And all we're trying to do is to get positions and we can hedge later and cash out. This is a hedge fund approach to sports betting. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 25 to 1 this morning, to me, warrant serious consideration. As do the Arizona Cardinals, right? At, 750, plus 750, 7.5 to 1, right? I just simply believe these teams are well positioned to make the playoffs. In Arizona's case, I think they're well positioned to have one of the top 2 seeds in the playoffs. I'll even go further and say, take a look at Arizona's offense. You're going to see guys like Larry Fitzgerald still putting up great numbers. Bruce Arians' game plan against the Legion of Boom was to pass the football on guys like Richard Sherman, right? He had the receivers to pull it off. Floyd, Fitzgerald, Brown. Right? Now compare and contrast that to Cam Newton's wide receivers, right? Ted Ginn and who else, right? Just think it through. I would argue that as good as Carolina's defense is, an argument can be made that Arizona's defense is on par, right? Is in the conversation. And that, comparing Arizona to Carolina, there is no competition on offense, right? Carson Palmer and Arizona's offense simply has more upside and have done more this year than Carolina's offense, right? If Arizona were to face Carolina in the NFC Championship game, right? If that game were to take place on a neutral field, and I know it's not, I'd clearly take Arizona. I think Arizona's more talented than Carolina. That's how I see it. Let's try to get an edge on the casino. I want you to leave your comments in the comment section to this video. Leave your breakdown so all of us, myself included, can read and consider what you have to say. Keep in mind, what we're trying to do is to help put money in all of our pockets. Thanks for stopping by.